Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Butterfly Spirit 314. So today guys, I decided that I would make a video about something new that I learned from my relationship book. So I want to start off by saying I didn't write the book or anything. This is a book that was written by someone else who's worked with a lot of couples over the years. And basically, I basically was taking notes on the book, and the section I had previously read, I took notes on this section, and it really caused me to think about something that I didn't feel like I was going to really realize after reading the section days ago. So one of the things I learned from the relationship book is that in a love relationship, both people should be comfortable being more of themselves rather than less of themselves. Okay, so what that means is that in a romantic relationship that you are in, it means that you should feel comfortable being more of your authentic self. Okay? And in being your authentic self, you should feel comfortable with expressing yourself in your interactions with your partner. So you should feel like, hey, I can be myself and be cool, right? And this is about being your authentic self in a positive way. This is not about being, yourself in a negative way. If you feel like if you have like some things that are like stuff that's negative that you do that is not beneficial for you or the other person, then it's a good idea not to express that, and it's a good idea to get counseling. Okay? So this is about being more of your authentic self in a positive manner. Now, you're not always going to be happy all the time, but you do want to be aware of your partner's feelings. Now, I'm going to turn it around to myself and say, in my relationship, I feel that there have been times where I have not been my authentic self. And I say that because I've grown up in a family where people are pretty much about the external appearance. So people in my family feel like as long as you look good, right, image wise, like as long as your hair's done, you're wearing new clothes or clean clothes, and you have a smile on your face, and everything seems to be good with you, you're good. And I learned a lot about the external, and that's not, image isn't, anybody can look good, but it doesn't mean that they're doing good. You know what I'm saying? So in my family, people don't really get into the emotional. Like, they don't really delve into how are you doing? Yeah, there's some people who do, but there's people who kind of are like, no, let me just think they're good just because of their image. Okay. And so I've learned a lot about, you know, basically being a person who pleases other people, doing stuff that I don't want to do just because, I have, elders in my family who feel like because they're, upper in age, they feel like they demand respect, and they get this respect because of their age and all that. And there's a lot of things as a child I internalized, and I brought those things into my relationship. And so one of the things that I feel that I brought into the relationship, which caused me to not be my authentic self, was the fact of pleasing. So doing things when I know I don't want to do it. So I've had interactions when my partner has been around where, not specifically my partner, but there's been people that my partner knows that I have, tried to tolerate those people, even though I knew that those people didn't particularly like me. I just kind of put up with them because I was trying to get the approval from my partner. And in those situations, I wasn't being my authentic self. And sometimes it's hard because, we want to be liked. We want people to think, we want people to enjoy our company. Most people do, or maybe some people do. I guess I can't speak for everybody. However, you know, in situations, I'd feel like, I'd have to do this, to get someone's approval, or do that to get someone's approval, and this happens whether somebody's in my family or not. And one of the things I've learned is that if you're in a relationship, a romantic relationship, or any other relationship, it's a good idea to be your authentic self. And sometimes you can feel uncomfortable with this. Sometimes you do because you don't want to disappoint somebody. There's been times where I've been asked by family, to go to this kind of family function, or to do something for somebody I knew I didn't want to do something, for someone for, And what I've learned is I've learned about the fact that it's important to think about my happiness. And I know for some people it's going to sound selfish because they're going to be like, well, you should, take in consideration other people's feelings. And I do. And there are some times where I feel like some people's feelings kind of go, like I discount my feelings and just focus on that other person's feelings, whether they're family or friends or, just other people, work or whatever, right? And one of the things I've learned, and I'm learning, I haven't learned this exclusively, but one of the things I'm learning is sometimes it's going to take for, me to be happy. And sometimes that means that I'm going to have to do things that make me feel the most comfortable. And that means that I'm not always going to, I'm not always going to do what somebody else wants me to do. And you guys may say, well, how does that translate to your partner? Well, that means that, in interactions, I owe it to myself and my partner to be honest about how I feel about things. And I don't have to be frustrated or mad about it. I could just come to my partner and say, hey, babe, this, and just kind of tell him what's going on, as opposed to just keeping it bottled up inside and just like stuffing it down, and then stuffing another situation down that I got frustrated or mad about or whatever, and stuffing and stuffing and stuffing until, later I just have all these bad experiences inside to the point where I just kind of explode, where I just start, where I'm just like really frustrated and I just lash out, and that's not a good thing to be. So, what I have to say about being my authentic self, and this goes for a lot of my relationships, is a lot of times it's hard to be your authentic self. And sometimes it's hard to stand up to, to people in situations. Like I've had work situations where I've just kind of, just went along with work and stuff, even though I knew it wasn't the best situation. And I understand now that life is too short to be over here, going along with stuff, and, with bad situations. It's better to be your authentic self and do what feels right. And I'm learning how to do that. I'm learning how to be like, okay, you know what? What in this moment is going to make me feel the most comfortable? And that's something my partner has said. What makes you feel the most comfortable? So I find myself kind of saying that. So, I have to think about that. And guys, I'm telling you, it's not easy to do this. It's not easy to be your authentic self, especially if you're like me and you're kind of second guessing things and you're like, well, yeah, I want to share this, but should I? And the reason I say, should I share how I feel, is because as a kid, I grew up and, I was criticized for my opinion when I was a kid. And all the way up to adulthood, I even get criticized about things now from some of my family members, and it doesn't feel very good. My partner is supportive, right? But in terms of family members, sometimes it could just be just crazy, at how like much criticism I get. And this has translated into my relationship where I'm like, can I really share this with my partner? Is this okay? Because if you get used to doing something as a kid, you get used to doing that, it stays with you, and you internalize it, and then you can reflect it in, interactions that you have as an adult. And you may not be trying to please people, but you're doing it because you're afraid you're going to get criticized. You're afraid that someone's going to hurt your feelings. You're afraid that you're not going to be accepted or valued. And those are some things I've had to deal with, and I think that, although my partner has, although my partner is not perfect, right? I can't say he's 100% of the time, been able to understand me. It starts with me realizing that, hey, I need to be my authentic self. The same goes for my partner. My partner needs to be able to be his authentic self. And I understand my partner has grown up with situations that have not been the best. And I understand that my partner has feelings as well. And he has interactions with family where, he's having to deal with, criticism. He's having to, he's trying to get approval from people in his family. And no matter what it seems like he's trying to do, he's not getting that approval. And I'm starting to understand that, hey, maybe my partner and I have more in common than I realized. And I think that, the fact of me being my authentic self and my partner being his authentic self, that really is more helpful, right? And I think in a relationship, the thing is about balancing, right? And really acknowledging what each other has been through, and then trying to harmonize, your relationship together. And sometimes it can be hard because family experience can really dampen how you see the world. And, interactions, not just in, family, but that you have in the world when you're in school, when you're out and about, whatever, can really have an impact on you. Things you've been through as a child, it can. We all have traumas, and we all have things that we really don't acknowledge that we have. And those things can color how we interact with others. And so, one of the things I want to try to do with my partner is not letting, losing that word, but what I want to do is I want to have interactions with my partner where my partner and I can be our authentic selves, and we can work together to, make it in this world, because, life is pretty short, I mean, we're not here forever on this earth, and it's better to try to have somebody to work with and stick it out with and stuff as the years go by, rather than being alone, because it's tough, trying to do stuff yourself. And sometimes you don't have the support. And it's good to have somebody you can lean on that can actually be there to be supportive. So, actually in what I read, it's really helping me to really see my partner's feelings in perspective. And the more and more I read this relationship book, the more gold of information I'm receiving. So that's something I just wanted